What is going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video. If you watched the last video, basically you'll see that we got this thing fully shaped and it's like fully done as much as I could have on that stuff with the materials that I was using. In today's video, we're actually gonna like make the part, and that should be pretty sick. Hopefully it goes well. There's a few concerns with some stuff not going well, and I don't know, hopefully it does. But basically, I'm just gonna jump into it where we left off. So I'm gonna get the seats out of the car, get a lot of room in there, and then tape up the whole thing, all the like the pink foam piece that I made. It's just covered in a random piece of fiberglass. I'm gonna cover that all in the packing tape, and that is basically gonna act as like a mold release, whatever, like whack. The idea is that all this pink foam stuff that I built it out of, and then the drywall mud, it'll just pop right out, hopefully. And we'll just be left with a shell. So none of that's gonna be on the car. It shouldn't be super heavy. It should just be fiberglass. So I'm gonna get into it. I'm super pumped. I wanna get this thing made so I can move on to the rest of the car and get the car like painted. And that'll be pretty cool. It's getting super nice out and I wanna drive it. So let's get into that then. Okay, so the seats are out, but it's absolutely disgusting. And I know it's gonna get dustier as this whole process goes on, but I can't stand that. So I'm gonna get the vacuum and just clean all this up really quick, and then we'll continue with this part. So that's a lot better. Obviously I didn't do the dash or anything like that because I'm not trying to detail the car. I'm just trying to get the majority of it. So now I'll feel a lot better. I'm gonna be probably standing like in here once it's covered in plastic, so I just didn't want to like grind all the dust and like windshield urethane pieces that were down there into the carpet, because the carpet's actually in pretty good shape. So now I can cover it all with plastic. So I just blew it off like really good, get all the dust out of all the little tiny pockets and holes and stuff. So hopefully this stuff will stick good. Two-thirds of the way done. I ran out of packing tape, but you can see it's shiny. You can actually kind of like see what it's gonna look like now, so kind of looks pretty cool. But basically the point of the packing tape is so none of the resin actually touches like the styrofoam or anything, because it'll melt it, like the chemical reaction. So yeah, hopefully this will create a barrier and seal the foam and everything off from the resin, and that'll be okay. And then I'll be able to hopefully separate the fiberglass from the styrofoam fairly easily, because nothing really sticks to packing tape. That's the idea anyways. So I gotta get some more and I'll continue to the other side. But there's little creases, kinks in the tape everywhere, but I'm gonna have to do like basically a skim coat of this whole thing after it's fiberglass. Then I'll just sand it all down, do a little bit of grinding, whatever, and then skim coat the whole thing, just to make it nice and straight and get rid of any of the little imperfections and stuff like that. It still won't be perfect, but I think it's gonna look pretty good. This thing is on and taped in position, so that's pretty much good to go. You see I have a little support there just to keep it nice and flat. And obviously like once I start putting the mat and the resin and stuff on, it's gonna get a little bit heavier, especially the resin. So I don't want it to like bow in the middle. I want that to be nice and flat. Whatever, I'll still have to do a bunch of body work to it. I'm not expecting it to come out perfect and just be able to like prime it and paint it. It's not how it's gonna work. So it's on there. Now what I gotta do is basically somehow carefully tape plastic like to the bottom of this area and all in here, like drape it over the whole car, basically around the whole thing. That way the resin doesn't just like drip all over my interior or all over everything that's important back here. So basically I had to use the masking tape. For some reason it wouldn't, like the packing tape wouldn't stick to the plastic that great. But then I went back over the masking tape with the packing tape. So that way hopefully it'll still pop off of that pretty easily. And yeah, I tucked the plastic like way up in there and then laid the tape over it and then just like bunched it all up. So I don't know, ideally there won't be any resin getting anywhere it shouldn't be, but super nervous actually. Like it's been so much work up to this point, and yeah, I just hope that this goes well. Oh, I just went to the dollar store and got some stuff, cheap paintbrushes to put it on with. Then I also got like a mixing cup, and basically what I did is marked out the conversion. So 950, it's like 940 something. So 950 is a quart, and then that's 17 cc's of the hardener. So I know I'll just fill it up to that black mark and then dump in the hardener. It's super like handy because it has a handle on it. No pun intended, but it makes it way easier. Car's taped up. Now we're just gonna start cutting out the patterns of the fiberglass, and then we're gonna get into it. And that's super cool and nerve-wracking. So we'll see what happens. Now you can see like I've got it kind of where it's gonna go type thing, and taped it in like all the hard corners where I need it like pulled down in there. So I'm gonna actually have like the proper sizing, right? So my idea is I'm just gonna wrap like a couple inches, like an inch or two around. And I might have to like slice these here, like just cut them here. That way it just rolls around. And then I'll have to make separate pieces just for the little hump. And that should be all I have to do cutting wise. So what I'm gonna do now is just cut this shape out with a little bit of excess because we want it to kind of come down over here and be good. Then I'm just gonna basically use that one shape that I make out of this piece, and I'm just gonna trace it and do it 2 more times. That way I don't have to do this exact same thing when it's gonna be the same thing. So I'm just gonna cut that out now, cut out a couple of them, and then should be able to start mixing up the resin and start going with it. I'm hoping that I can use this part for the humps. I think it'll be big enough. Oh yeah, no problem. So I'll have to cut a bunch of those shapes out, which is not an issue. And yeah, so now I have that shape, then I'll just trace out 2 more. I don't have like a workbench big enough for this. Thankfully, I do have a 4-door Skyline. I've got all of my like front hump shapes cut out now. So I got 3 for each side. So I think how I'm gonna do this is I'll probably start here. I'll do one layer on here, 1 layer on there. Then I'll put the big one so it kind of relaps it. And then do that again. Then I'll do the second layer over top of that. So that way that each layer is kind of like in between each other, you know what I mean? Kind of like that. I don't know. I just think that I really don't want it to crack around this edge. And if you kind of try and like meet them like this, it'll probably crack. So I'm just gonna mix it all up in my cup and start slapping it on there. And I'm hoping it's gonna go well, but we're gonna find out. Yeah, I'm super nervous. We'll see. This is terrifying. We're just gonna go for it. My GoPro is probably gonna die. It's at like 50%, and this is gonna take a while. So hopefully we get to see a little bit of this process. So my GoPro did die. I knew that was gonna happen after about like 1 coat. It didn't go that great. It didn't go as well as I was planning and I was expecting it to. You can see it's pretty bumpy. Whatever, I was expecting that, but what I wasn't expecting was when I did the first layer, like over the whole thing, it really started like kinking around this hump and I couldn't get it to lay like nice and flat. It took me a long time. I had to like
keep lifting it back up and like pushing it in this way, and then it kept wanting to pull it up that way. So I finally did get the first layer down, and then on the second layer I ended up actually cutting it in half. The pieces, I cut them in half, so I did one side, and then I did this side, and then it ended up with like a little pie shape area that like wasn't covered, so I had to keep cutting random pieces to fill in that, so there was like the same amount of fiberglass there. I mean, it's not a huge deal, I don't think. Now I knew this, I have to do a bunch of body work because it's all like bumpy and whatever. So I think my plan now, I was gonna like just leave it all together and sand it and then start like body working it and stuff like while it's like in the mold type thing so it doesn't move. But I think probably the best idea would be to like at least try and separate it, try and get it out. That way if something happens, like it cracks or it breaks or whatever, I won't have all the body work like done already and basically waste my time. So what I'm gonna do is take all the plastic off, try and get this piece off, and then flip it over and start like trying to get the inner part out. And hopefully it's not gonna be a huge pain, but I'm pretty sure it's going to. I tried to lift up a little bit, like just around the back there, and it did not want to come. So hopefully we'll be able to get it out of there. And then mark on the sides, like where I want to cut, like for around the molding, and then around the back. Honestly, not as hard as I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like rock hard, but like, it's not. It's been sitting for super long. Like, it's not sticky or anything, but it's just like not as stiff as I thought it was gonna be. So maybe I will end up putting like this inside, like I'll grind it up and then put a layer of that like inside to stiffen it up more. I don't know, because there is only 3 layers on there. It's probably not enough for like this much area of like a piece. It's probably not that thick. I might have to get some more and just add some more whatever on the inside, and hopefully it doesn't warp it, because that's what I'm worried about there. But we'll see what happens. So it's out of the car. Honestly, I'm not super happy with this. I don't think it's gonna be good. Like, it's not strong at all. Like, the edges of the fiberglass, there's like no strength to it at all. Thought that this stuff is like stronger than the chopped stuff, but I guess maybe not, or maybe I didn't put enough layers. I don't know. This honestly isn't really going how I planned it to, because like, I don't know, it's hard to get like on film, but like this, okay, right here is this part right here, right? Like the outer whatever, and I can just like easily pull that away, like with no strength, no effort whatsoever. Once I start taking this out, there's gonna be like absolutely no strength to that. I don't know, I might just leave it in there and then like grind it down and then do a couple more layers like over top of it. I don't know, while it's in this, so at least it holds the same shape. So it's a few hours later now. I've just been thinking about it, and I think basically what happened was I just didn't put enough layers on. Like I said, I'm not like super comfortable making like big parts and stuff like this, so did some research and talked to some people and stuff. So I guess you kind of want it to be like 1/4 of an inch thick, and this is definitely maybe half that. So what I'm gonna do for now, and like this shows it really good, I've separated pretty much all of this, and you can see like it moves like no problem. What I did was ground this whole area, all like basically all around the edges where it's gonna be super important that it's nice and stiff. And I'm just gonna, because I don't have any of this stuff left, I'm just gonna use that chopped stuff that I have there and do like 3 more layers, because that stuff is a lot thicker, more rigid. So I just got a bunch more patterns cut out. I'm gonna put the whole thing here and the whole thing here. I just figured too, because like the wind's gonna be hitting it, and with it being like that flimsy, it's probably gonna crack. So just do the whole thing, and hopefully that sturdies it right up. And then, so I'll do 3 coats, like 3 more layers there, so that'll be 6 layers in total. And then on the side here, I'm kind of nervous about this gap around the trunk getting too small. So I'm gonna do 2 layers here, but as long as it like stiffens it up a little bit, and then I can get that foam on the inside out, then I can do a bunch more fiberglass on the inside, and it won't affect this gap. So I'm just gonna do this and hope that it works. Like I said, I'm not like afraid to admit I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to like this type of stuff. That's why I didn't like label any of these videos how to make a part, because I honestly don't know. So I'm just kind of figuring out as I go. Like this stuff, I actually know how to do. But this, it's just fun to me and I like cool custom stuff. So figured I'd give it a try. Now it is the next day and this is like way better. Super solid. Same with this. Like you can't even really move this, so that's good. And this is 3 layers and 2 layers. And even like back here, it's pretty solid. Definitely happy with that. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna try to separate the fiberglass from the pink foam underneath. And this could take a while. So we're gonna see how this goes. My hopes are not very high for this just popping out. So we'll see what happens. Kind of just popping out. So that actually, it wasn't too terrible getting out. I mean, how long has it been? 13 minutes, so yeah, that actually wasn't that terrible at all. The only part I had an issue was basically where the resin got through the tape and like actually melted into the styrofoam, and I wanted to stick like really good there. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to reinforce this for sure. Oh wow, even the humps. Even the humps are really bad. Well, not the end of the world. Initial impressions, it's extremely flimsy. I don't know if you can get that, but like this. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw it on the car, trim up all the edges and stuff, like all around the back here and like wherever I want on the molding over there, cut a nice straight line across the front. And then I'll probably start grinding, just grind the inside. I would rather add to the inside than the outside because that just makes more body work on the outside. Whereas all I have to do is add strength and thickness. I can do it on the inside and it won't affect anything. Hopefully when it cures, it won't move it around too much, which is a possibility actually. But anyways, I'm gonna throw it on and just see what we have and what we're working with. Yeah, anyway, so it fits there, but the only issue is like it's really, really flimsy. Like, so for now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roughly trim out the edges, and then around this back edge here, I gotta mark it still, but I did the other side like that, so I'm gonna cut that. And this is the part that I hate, because I hate fiberglass. It's gonna get so itchy. I'm not gonna wanna do anything else once I do this. Okay, so I just threw it on there, and I was looking at it, and I really didn't like how it was covering this molding. I thought that would be good for some reason, but I'm gonna make it now so it just goes on top of the molding. Because you have the molding here, it would only make sense to let it continue like it's designed to do. Also, it runs into like this part here, and that's supposed to be like painted black, which I was kind of not gonna do just because it gets wide and it looks kind of weird up here, but I'll probably end up doing that. And that way it just looks factory, like it just continues all the way back. I did my best, tried to, I used like a light on the inside, and then I could kind of see the outline of where that molding sat, and then I just kind of marked that. So I'm gonna go cut that, throw it back on the car again, and then we'll see. I got the sides fitting. It's not 100% perfect, but it's pretty good. Makes sense to want to be able to see that continuing. Obviously this is still rough, so it's gonna get better, but it's fitting like pretty okay. You say on top of the molding like that now. It's still rough. You can see here it's like a little bit tight because of, I guess, the buildup. I should have made the like piece, the pink part, like smaller than what I wanted. I didn't really think about this before, but so it's a little bit too big. So I might have to cut this edge off and kind of reglass it further back. For both sides, it's about the same. But other than that, like, I'm pretty happy with how it fits. And like I said, it's not perfect. Like, this is just rough. I still gotta do a little bit more trimming, get it to sit down a little bit better, but I'm pretty happy with that. So I think what my plan is, I was wanting to just take it off and do it on the inside, so that way it wouldn't be a bunch of extra body work. But I'm really worried about when I take it off and lay it upside down, then it's gonna move, because like it moves so easily. So I think what I'm gonna do is basically the same thing I just did to make this originally. So I'm gonna get some plastic taped all the way around it again. I'll grind this whole like top area, like just the flat area pretty much. And then I will cut out some fiberglass from this chopped stuff. It's a lot heavier, a lot thicker. It's what I used here. And then I'll do 2 layers of that over this entire flat area, and that should like really stiffen it up. Just because I'm afraid that if I take it off and do it upside down, it's gonna bow, and I know it will, because like it's so flimsy. Then when I go to put the extra layers for the hump, I will actually do it on the inside. That way there's not a bunch of extra body work on the outside, because there's a lot of shape to this, and that'd be a lot of extra body work. Whereas I could just lay a couple pieces like inside and it can kink and whatever, and out here I'd be worried about it not quite fitting perfectly. So yeah, I'm kind of doing it twice, but whatever, live and learn, I guess. At least it's not a complete waste. It's gonna be, you know, really solid when I'm done, so I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, so I'm actually just gonna end the video there. I think it's a pretty good spot. Made a lot of good progress this week, actually. This thing is made. And like I said, what I'm gonna do is put those extra layers on the outside. After that, we'll be getting into the body work. Once I get it fitting nicely, like I'm happy with it, the body work on it should actually go pretty quickly. And then basically all I gotta do is just figure out how to mount it. I have a couple different ideas like in my head, but once I actually get it done and get it sitting, you know, where I want it and all that, I'm gonna look into it a little bit more. And I'm not 100% sure how much I'm actually gonna get done this weekend, which is when I normally do like the main amount of work for these videos, but it's gonna be like 75. And I haven't driven the Corvette since I think August, and I really want to get it out. But that's a huge job, because I have 4 cars in here right now, and they all have to come out to get the Corvette out, because it's the first one in. So yeah, that's going to take up a lot of time, probably all Saturday doing that, moving stuff around. But hopefully after that I can get some progress going on this for next week, and then get this rest of this car going. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching. I know this one's a little bit longer than normal, and I don't try and make them super long, these videos. It's not like I set out to make a 20-minute video or anything, but I literally work all week on basically whatever I put in the video, so it's super hard to cut and edit and everything into one like 15-minute video or something. If you watch this one all the way through, I really appreciate it, because it's super long, but I felt like that was a pretty big step, and we made some good progress, so want to show it. As always, like, comment, subscribe if you want. That's gonna do it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.